morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, August the 9th. I'm having my morning coffee. My son is currently gone to the hospital with my husband to see if he can get his cast off because he broke his foot since my last video. We got home from vacation. That was lovely. And within a couple of days, he was out with his buddies, and there was, these fences at the park. Well, they're not really fences. It's like posts with like a chain drooping between each of the posts. And he decided that he was going to jump over one of those, which he did, just like the gazelle. But he didn't land like a gazelle, so he landed in a heap and twisted over his foot. Took him to the hospital. They thought it was badly sprained or that he had some ligament damage done. And they sent him home after doing x-rays. And then we got a call the next day. The radiologist had taken another look at the x-ray and said, no, I think that's actually a hairline fracture. So you need to bring him back in, crutches, cast, all that good stuff. Yeah. So anyway, he's gone in today to find out if he can get the darn thing off because it's a no-walk cast, so he hasn't been able to put, he can't get around. He's just hopping around with these crutches, and 14-year-old boy, summertime, yeah, that's not going over so well. He's laying around playing video games all the time, but that gets boring after a while. So stitching stuff. Got a lot to talk about. I want to talk about my plan for all of my whips because I have a couple new starts. Bad girl. Bad, bad, bad. So I have a couple new starts since getting home from vacation. And I want to talk about how that's going to fit into my rotation, what the plan is there. I've changed up my rotation a little bit, so I want to talk about that. And I also want to do Dee Stitcher's, it's not really a tag, I guess, but it's like a how is your year going kind of review. She did it in her last video, and she has 4 questions that she basically asks herself. So I want to do that, so I'll do that at the end. Yeah. Oh, and I survived the Telly 10. I came home from vacation, and I did the Telly 10. I'll insert a couple of pictures if you're interested. The Telly 10 is actually, even though I live in Canada and we go by kilometers, the Telly 10 is a 10-mile road race, like foot race, running race. Now, I did not run. I'll be the first to admit it. They do allow people who are beginning runners or walkers to register. And I registered with my sister as a walker. But I did complete it faster than a lot of other walkers because I did jog some portions of it. I used to be a runner. I gave that up. Too hard on my joints. I will jog the odd time, so I did like a walk jog. I managed to do the 10 miles in 2 hours and 31 minutes. So, not bad. And I crossed the finish line a full 10 minutes ahead of my baby sister. Which, I don't know. Her excuse was that she was sticking with her friend. But I don't know if that's an excuse or... Well, no, truth be told, she probably could have kicked my ass, but... yeah, I crossed the finish line a full 10 minutes ahead of my baby sister, and that was my only goal, across the finish line before her. I didn't care if I was the second last person over the finish line and she was the last person over the finish line, as long as I crossed ahead of her. So that was good. It's like 10 miles, and they shut down streets in the city, and you run right from one city into the east end of the other city. Well, one town into the east end of the other city. So it's 10 miles, which is like a little better than 16 kilometers. And I did that in 2.5 hours. So, yeah, it was okay. It was my first time doing it, so I'm pleased. Very pleased with myself. So we're already talking about doing it again next year. And next year, I don't care if she beats me over the finish line, but I would like to do better than I did this year. I would like to increase my speed a little bit, get my pace down. So yeah, so that was the Telly 10. I'll start a couple of pictures. Okay, whips. Oh, rotation went right out the window. Haid has another challenge where you have to stitch an entire page row by row instead of column by column. I'm currently doing that. I'm doing it on my old world map. I think the last time I spoke about it, I was wondering whether I should continue down the page or if I should go across from where I was at the last challenge. Anyway, I did continue down the page. So even though it wasn't time to work on this, I pulled it out right away and started working on it. So that's why my rotation is a little out of whack. So, I don't know what I just dropped on the floor. You have to excuse my parked threads. So here's my map. This is where it is now. Okay. And I'm continuing down here. And if you see an indentation or a mark line across here, that's not from, this is lines from my Q-snap, not tension lines. So that's good. Those will come out once it's washed and ironed anyway, but they're marks from my Q-snap. But so far so good. I'm working down here, and so I just have this block here, actually these couple of blocks left to do, and then I'll go 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 by 10 blocks all the way across again and continue down. So yeah, I'm seeing some progress on this piece, which is nice. I still have to go back and finish this page, but it seems like every time I get, like I got a page finished for the challenge, then they set a new challenge, and then I went back and still didn't get to finish this page. So when this challenge is done, my plan is to go back and get this page finished. So that's my old world map. So I did work on that out of rotation. And then I was so excited about the things that I bought when we were in New Brunswick that I had to work on some of those. So, oh, hang on. So I did start that little Mill Hill kit. And I haven't worked on this much. I think I worked on it one day out sitting on the deck. And I got all the stitching finished, and I did start the beading. So that's where that is. It's not really much to show, but, you know. So I've got the beading done on his little wings. And some beads there, some beads there. I'm just filling it in. So I won't bother to show that anymore until it's done, because it's just a little ornament. And I was going to finish it off at work, but I got distracted with another whip, so I didn't get to finish that. Okay, next whip I worked on. And I'm not even sleep deprived today. Now, that'll tell you. My Monopoly board. Now, every time I show this, I get comments and questions. Oh my gosh, where did you get the pattern? Would you be willing to sell me the chart when you're done with it? I don't have a chart. I do not have a chart for this piece. I did speak about it before, but I'll reiterate that I do not have a chart for this Monopoly board. I charted this myself. What happened was I really wanted to do the piece. I had the chart years ago when it came out. And somewhere in the process of us purchasing our house and moving and boxing and unboxing, and then some boxes being left down in the storage until such time that we could get rid of things, and having yard sales and da-da-da, I lost a box or a bag of cross-stitch stuff. And there were charts in it. I lost a Paula Vaughn book that I had with several Paula Vaughn charts. I've since found another copy of that book, and I have that now, but I lost a Paula Vaughn book. I lost this Monopoly chart. I lost some charts that were meant for Afghan squares that you could cross stitch on an Afghan. Flowers of the provinces. There was a bunch of different stuff. Like there was like a binder of leaflets, and then a few books. I lost it. So I was desperate to do this piece, and I could not find my Monopoly chart. So I decided I was going to chart it myself. I measured out my table downstairs that I want this piece to go on, because I'm going to mount it under glass on this table. And got out graph paper and my Monopoly board and I sectioned out, well, I need it to be 24 inches wide, so that's going to allow me how many blocks on my graph, and I started drawing with like colored pencils basically, so I had like black grid lines for the outline, and then I started, doing the tops of all the places and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, I might have a picture of, anyway, if I think of it, I'll insert a picture of my working copy of my chart. But it is literally something that I hand drew on graph paper. Someone was kind enough to send me a copy of their chart. Not a copy, they sent me their original chart, so that I could kind of have a look at some of the symbols, like the treasure chest for community chest and the policeman, so I could kind of rough out how to do those a little bit better. I had a look at that chart and sketched out what I wanted to do, and then I promptly put that chart back in an envelope and sent it back to this lady, because she was kind enough to send it to me. I wasn't going to hang on to it until I finished stitching the piece. So this is of my own creation. So although it looks similar, very similar to a lot of the Monopoly charts that are out there, it isn't. So, I'll insert a picture of where it was, I think, the last time you saw it. And this is what I've worked on so far this round. Not a lot. Okay. I managed to finish filling in the blocks on this side. I got the top of the light bulb done while I was on vacation. I think I may have showed that the last time. I finished filling in these blocks, put in the prices, started the railroad piece, and started filling in these blocks over here. So I've officially taken this out of my rotation. Here's the full piece so you can see it. Okay, it's quite big. I've taken this out of my rotation and decided that this is going to be the piece that I work on at work. In my evenings and on my lunch break and that sort of thing, so that I can get it finished. The problem with that is, this week I figured out that another piece that I have that actually had a deadline on it is due. I need it finished. I want it finished. So I've put this one now aside for a couple of weeks so that I can concentrate on getting this other piece finished. So the other piece I'm talking about is Lizzie Kate's A Good Marriage. I had started this on a whim earlier this year when after my husband had purchased it for me. And my plan was to have it finished for our 20th wedding anniversary. Our 20th wedding anniversary is the 24th of this month, and I don't have it finished. It's a fairly quick stitch, so I took it to work my last 2 night shifts this week, but I only got like an hour to pick at it on my lunch break. And so now I'm working on this during the day right now as well. So Here we go. There's a good marriage. That's just a red piece of thread I had marking the corner there, but there's a good marriage by Lizzie Kate. It's still on my Q-snap. So I've gotten this far. I've gotten down to here. I think I only have 3 more lines of text and then a border that goes across the bottom. So I should have this finished in the next, I don't know, day or two. I might be able to get it finished today, but I don't think so because I have housework to do. Damn housework. But there we go. So I want to get that finished this week so that I can get that into a frame and it will be done for my anniversary. So that is Lizzie Kate's A Good Marriage. I really like working on this piece. It stitches up quickly. What I don't really care for, and maybe someone else can comment on this, is this floss. This floss that came with the kit. I find it tangles on itself very easily. It's an over-dyed thread, or a hand-dyed thread, or whatever you want to call it. I can't remember the name, the manufacturer name. It might be Colorworks, but I don't want to say. I don't want to say in case it's the wrong company. Anyway, I love the colors and I love the variegation. I don't like how easily it tangles on itself. And I don't use Thread Heaven. So, I'm not going to suggest that. I don't like Thread Heaven. I don't use Thread Heaven. I've never used Thread Heaven, and never say never, but I will probably never use Thread Heaven. I've been stitching 20 years without it. It's probably never going to get used. So I do find that hitches up on itself, like it tangles up on itself easy. So I had to be careful when I'm pulling my thread through that it's not knotting on the back. And I use my laying tool so that it lays nice and neat and everything, but it kind of twists up on itself very easily and tangles easily. But I like the colors and I like the way it looks once it's been stitched, but I'm not too fond of, it's almost like the thread is dry. Like, you know how DMC has that little bit of slipperiness to it or smoothness to it. This doesn't. It's almost like the thread is dry, so it hitches on itself. Anyway, so that's that. So those are the 3 whips that I worked on that are normal, that were already in my rotation. So then I had 2 new starts, which I think I talked about in my last video, but I'll show you where they are. The first one is this. As Abby would say from Abby Bella Stitch, I drank Kool-Aid. I purchased this while I was on vacation in New Brunswick. I got it right from Long Dog Samplers, and she sent it to me via PDF, which I just printed off. And it's stunning. I'm stitching this on 28 count, no, that's a lie, 25 count Lugana in antique white. Now I don't have my Q-snap clamps on here now because I just got it laid here. I didn't want to stretch the fabric when I wasn't stitching on it. So I'm stitching on 25 count even weave. And although that thread is showing up black, it isn't. It's DMC 939. I'm stitching that 1/1 on the 25 count antique white with 1 strand, right? 1/1. So it's a really dark navy. And I'm just working my way across here. Now I need to stitch it back, which I haven't done yet. This is the width of 1 page. So my plan for this piece, I'll have my rotation like normal, where I will work on a piece for 8 days, like the 4 days that I'm off and the 4 days that I'm working. But for a half an hour every day, I'm going to work on this piece. And that's what I've been doing. Just a half an hour. I get some of the border done. Half an hour or an hour every day. But since the Lizzie Kate piece and all of that sort of stuff, I haven't touched this. So as soon as that piece is done, I'm going to go back to my rotation and I'm going to go back to stitching on this one every day, a little bit every day. So that's as much as I've gotten done. It's not a whole lot, but it's a start, and I love it. I love it. I could sit there and stitch for hours on this. I really could. The stitches are so dainty and they're lovely. I really, really am liking this piece. So that's my Long Dog sampler piece, Death by Cross Stitch. Now my next start was my Mirabilia. I've never done a Mirabilia. I decided I was going to start my Mirabilia that I purchased while I was on vacation because I had all the supplies, thanks to the lovely ladies at Because You Count in Moncton, and because of Carmel, one of their customers, who happened to be there with her stash, and the stuff that the store didn't have in stock, Carmel had that she hadn't used, so she gave it to me so that I could buy it, and then the store would just replace her with the stuff. So when I came home from New Brunswick, I had everything I needed to start this piece. It was great. So this is Santa's Magic, which is an older Mirabilia. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm stitching it 2 over 2 on 28 count. Picture this plus fabric in the color Mellow. Hang on, let me move my coffee. Not a good idea to have that around if I spill it. And this is where it is now. The lighting in here is not really great this morning, is it? So, this is, I started in the middle. So this is the middle of the chart coming up to his sash. And this is going down to the cuff, I think, of his sleeve. And I've started with a little bit of Krennic. This blue that's in here, this brighter blue, that's a little bit of Krennic. Now the chart suggests stitching that with a number 8 braid, Krennic. Okay? A number 8. And yeah, no. Number 8 is too thick, I think. So I'm actually, because you're only supposed to use, wait, no. You're supposed to use 2 strands. No, 1 strand of number 8, I think. Krennic. And I bought a number 4 braid, thinking maybe I would use 2 strands if I needed it. I stitched a couple stitches using 2 strands, and it was horrible. Because I figured 2 strands of 4 would equal the thickness of 1 strand of 8 for coverage purposes. They look like little lumps of Krennic. So I ripped them out, and I am only stitching this with one thread of Krennic. So these stitches here and these stitches here are just 1 strand of Krennic, and I think they look fine. The stitches look neat. I get the sparkle and the shimmer, but I don't have that horrible lumpy looking stuff going on. So I love this. I love this piece. So that's how much I got done during my rotation on that piece. A little bit, not too bad. And that is everything I worked on this month. Not a whole lot, I know. I usually have like my Hades and stuff, but I've been concentrating on that challenge from Hade and Then I had my 2 new starts, and now I'm trying to finish that piece for my anniversary. So there was a lot of other stuff going on. And it's summer, like busy. A big, huge truck outside. It's summer and I'm busy, and you know the kids are off and I've got things going on, so my stitching time has been cut down a little bit, but that's fine because you know it's summer and that's what happens. So going forward, my rotation is going to change a little bit because the Monopoly board is taken out of my rotation. I will have Lizzie Kate's done in the next couple of days, so that'll be finished. I'll have an FFO. Be my first one for 2016. Which is kind of pathetic when you think about it, because we're 8 months into the year and I haven't finished anything. But I'm a process stitcher. I don't stitch for the finish. I stitch to finish everything. But for me, it's more about the sitting down and the relaxation and the actual stitching, like the process of doing the work. So my rotation is going to change a little bit. I actually did a new little worksheet for myself in my Midori, a little chart. These are my rotation pieces. These are my non-rotation pieces that I want to work on an ongoing basis. And these are other whips that I have that I want to get finished, that I need to work in somewhere along the way as these ones are finishing up. Okay? So what I've done is I've basically marked off the month. I've listed them down here, and every time I stitch on them, I will just mark off what I stitched on when, on what days. Okay? So my heids are all here. So my rotation is going to be Old World Map, followed by my Mirabilia, followed by Record Girls, followed by, which I will pick up this week coming. I'll pick up Record Girls this week after Lizzie Kate is done. So Record Girls. Then I'll have my Haid, A Christmas Carol. Then I'll have Quiet Frost. And then I'll go back to Old World Map. Outside of that is the Monopoly board, which will be my piece at work. Death by Cross Stitch, which I'll try and stitch a little bit on every day. And my Lizzie Kate, A Good Marriage, which will be finished this week. Then my pieces that I started that I have not finished, that are sitting downstairs in a whip box. As I get Lizzie Kate done, and as I get my Monopoly board done, I'm going to start pulling these other ones out. So the 12 Days of Christmas by Plum Street Samplers. That one is more than halfway done. I would like to have it finished by Christmas, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Nevermore. That was a piece from Just Cross Stitch magazine a couple of years ago. I had the magazine, and I started that piece, but I literally only did part of the tree trunk, and then I got laid down and I never got back to it. Wind Woman, which is a native piece that I'm doing. I started her, but because I had already done her for my mother, and then there are a set of two. It's a man and a woman. I stitched the mother for my... Okay, let's start over. My best friend had stitched the male version of the chart for my mom. So I stitched the female version of the chart for my mom. Then I decided that I liked the pieces so much that I wanted them for myself. So I started the man, and I got him finished and did him for myself. Then I started the woman, and I guess because I had just finished the man and I had already stitched the woman, I kind of lost interest in her. But I do want to finish her, and it's a lovely piece to stitch, so I want to pick that back up, and I want to get it finished. So that's there. Sunlight and Silhouette, that is a Polyvon piece that I started, I'm going to say 18 years ago, and it's like a unfinished object sitting downstairs in my whip box, so I want to get that one done as well. So that's that. So that's going to be my rotation. I'm going to add in those few pieces as I go along. Now, Dee Stitcher. Hi, Dee. Dee Stitcher had a 4 questions on her last video that she did with her updates about how her year was going, her stitching year. And I wanted to do those 4 questions. So the first one is the year going the way you thought? Yes. So far, so good. I started my rotation this year, or it might have been at the very end of last year I started a rotation. I love the idea of a rotation. I don't get sick of my projects. Every time, you know, I start getting excited about something else, it's time for me to switch. So I love my rotation. I have gotten a lot of stitching done. I've gotten a lot of progress on my pieces. Would I like to be further ahead on some of my pieces than I am? Absolutely. I have 4 full coverage pieces, which is a lot. But I'm enjoying them. So that's the main thing. Question number 2. Have you learned anything about yourself? Yes. With having 4 full coverage pieces and rotating through those and just having my Monopoly board as a non-full coverage piece, but it's still quite large, I have discovered that I like to have something in my rotation that isn't a BAP. Thus, wanting to start the Mirabilia, starting the Lizzie Kate, and doing Death by Cross Stitch. Death by Cross Stitch I don't consider, well, it is a BAP, because it's quite large, but it's not full coverage. And it has so many different little designs and motifs in it that it's kind of the type of thing that as you finish each little section, it's like a little accomplishment. It's not like a full coverage HAID where you finish a page and you still have 30 pages to do. So I've learned that I like to have stuff in my rotation that is easier to stitch on, that I can finish up quicker than a HAID, that I can get finished in the foreseeable future. So that's something I learned about myself. As much as I love the full coverage pieces, I learned that I do need to have something in my rotation that I can get done. So I'm still having those little accomplishments along the way. Number 3, have you learned any new techniques? New techniques. I can't think of any. I haven't learned any new stitches because I don't have any specialty stitches in any of my projects. Parking I learned last year, so that's not new. I haven't learned any new techniques, but I've used new things that I haven't used before. I started using my laying tool this year. I'm stitching on hand-dyed fabric for the very first time. That's this Picture This Plus fabric that my Mirabilia is on. It's the color Mellow from Picture This Plus, which is not really showing up there very well because of the lighting, but it's slightly mottled. Because I don't like the idea of not being able to wash my pieces. I'm terrified I'm going to get this dirty. So that's new. Using hand-dyed, like over-dyed threads in the Lizzie Kate piece, that's new for me. I'd never used those before. But in regards to techniques, I don't really think so. Question number 4, what do you want to accomplish over the next 6 months? Well, there's only 4 months left to this year. Can you believe that? September, October, November, and December. So what would I like to accomplish? Obviously, I want to finish my Monopoly board if I can. And I'd like to get a page finish. I've already gotten a page finish in on my Old World map, and I will have another page finished by the end of September when that challenge is finished, I would think. But I'd like to have a page finish done on each of my other full coverage pieces, which is still my goal from the beginning of the year, was to get a page finish on everything. I'd like to have a couple of pages done. That might be unrealistic, but I'd like to have a couple of pages done of Death by Cross Stitch. And I don't think I'll have the Mirabilia done by Christmas, but I'd like to see some very significant progress on him by Christmas. I don't know. We'll see. So that's it. That's everything I had to talk about. The last thing, actually, that I want to talk about is Fitbit and Stitch. I'm still doing that. Thank you to everybody for participating in the last one. I think I had double the participants in the last one that I had in the first one. I had to set up 2 Fitbit groups because on Fitbit, like when you have a list of friends, you can invite friends to participate in a challenge, and everybody gets to see everybody's steps for the day and their accomplishment for the day, but you can only fit 10 people into a challenge. So I actually had to set up 2 challenges this time. So I had two challenges running simultaneously on my Fitbit at the same time with about 20 different people. That was great. It went over really well. I'm very pleased with it. I am still doing really well with my goal to be more fit. I am walking every day. If I can't get outside and walk, I have been using the treadmill at work to get a walk in during my lunch break or something at work. So that's been going well. I have lost some weight. I think I'm down about somewhere between 12 and 14 pounds since my birthday. Not that weight loss is a huge goal for me, but my goal is just to be more fit, just to be more active. Not getting any younger. Not getting any younger. And I want to be healthy. And because my job is such a sedentary job, and because my hobby is such a sedentary hobby, I just want to be healthier. I want to be more active. So the next Fitbit and Stitch challenge, I'm going to do that on August the 27th, which is a Saturday. Saturday, August the 27th. So, you do not need a Fitbit to participate, okay? I run Fitbit and Stitch on the Fitbit app as well as on Instagram. So anybody who follows me on Instagram, you can follow along my progress on there. The idea of Fitbit and Stitch is to do 1 hour of stitching followed by 30 minutes of activity. And then you repeat 1 hour of stitching, 30 minutes of activity throughout the day, okay, as a rotation. You don't have to participate for the full day. If you only have the time to do 1 hour of stitching and 30 minutes of activity, just, one rotation of that, perfect. Take a picture of what you're working on for the day for your stitching and post it to Instagram using the hashtag Fitbit and Stitch. And then upload it and say in your comment what you're stitching on, what your 30 minutes of activity was. Way to go. Anybody who wants to follow along on Instagram, you can. You just need to search that hashtag, Fitbit and Stitch, and all the posts from everybody will come up in the feed, and you can look at those, encourage each other, da-da-da. And usually what I do, because I try to do a rotation throughout the day, every time I stitch, I try to upload a picture, and every time I do an activity, I try to upload an image from my Fitbit app to show my steps or what I've done, or I combine a picture of my stitching and my fitness together in one picture, and I upload that. So you can see what I'm doing throughout the day. The other thing that I've done this month is I joined another Fitbit group. No, it's not Fitbit, sorry. I joined another fitness and stitching group on Facebook called Stitchy Fit. Tracy P started it, and that's going really well. I'm really enjoying it. Everybody that's on there are stitchers already, and we're just trying to encourage each other to get a little more active. Same sort of thing as my Fitbit and Stitch, only it's, you know, it's daily thing. I joined Yes.fit. Yes.fit is a virtual is a website for virtual races. So like marathons and stuff. So it's a way to participate in a marathon without actually going to a marathon. If that makes sense. What you do is you go to the website Yes.fit, and they have a list of races there that you can participate in. And they're all different routes, and they're done through Google Maps. So like there's a Rio de Janeiro race, which is 89 miles, which is 133 kilometers. And that's the one I chose to participate in because, you know me, go big or go home, right? And, you know, why choose something small that can be accomplished in a short amount of time? What is wrong with me? Anyway, so I get on this website and there's a whole list of races. Some of them are 10 miles. Some of them are, you know, 20 miles. Some of them are 60 miles. Some of them are 80 miles. You choose the race that you would like to participate in. If you want to do that, you pay a $25 fee to the website via PayPal or credit card, what have you. And they log you in for the race. And then you, at your own pace, do the race. So if you walk 5 kilometers a day, which is the equivalent of, I don't know, 3 miles or something, it uploads your progress to the website and takes off that amount. So if I do 3 miles today, then my 89 miles goes down to 86 miles left to complete. And then if I do 5 miles tomorrow, then that goes down to 81 miles left to complete, and so on and so forth. And when you complete it, when you get to the end, they send you out a medal, like an actual completion medal. And all the medals are different. This one is the one for Rio that I'm doing. Then there's a bunch of different ones. It's more about the encouragement, motivation to get out there and log your miles every day to try and complete it. And it doesn't matter how fast you do it, and it doesn't matter how long it takes you. When you're done, you're done. They'll send you your medal. And then you can sign up for another race if you want to. So I like the idea of that because it keeps me a little motivated. So I did sign up, and I'm doing the Rio de Janeiro race. My goal is to have it completed by the end of September, but I'm already 16% done. Because that's the other thing. It'll tell you how, like, the percentage of what you've completed, like you're 16% done or you're 50% done and so on. Really enjoying that. So I'll put a link to that down below in case anybody else is interested as well. But it's fun. And I know a few stitchers who are doing it. So, yeah, that's it. So that's all I've got to talk about. If you got any questions, put them in the comments. I'll try and answer them. I do try to go through my comments and respond to everybody. I haven't done it in a couple of weeks now because I've been busy, but I will get in and do that. So anyway, take care, enjoy, have a good couple of weeks. I'll try and touch base at the very beginning of September. Daughter will be getting ready for university, and son will be getting ready for his first day of high school. So September's going to be busy at the beginning of September, but I will try and do an update video on time if I can within that first week of September. So everybody have a great day, have a good stitchy time, and we'll see you soon. Bye.